Right. Got some. Right. Hey guys, welcome. Welcome. So something caught my attention last night while I was winding down to get to bed, and I think this is why my insomnia is so bad because I'm on the internet and busy reading stuff. But but I went on Twitter, which is X now, previously known Twitter, which is X now, and I was just reading, and then I came across an article where the president of my country, of the Republic of Namibia, came through and was talking of how the education system of Namibia is not really gearing Namibian youth and the youth of Namibia to be job creators, but to be job seekers, and many of them are unable to get employment. This is what's leading to the crisis of the youth unemployment issue. And he was quoted by one of our daily papers, where it says, Ginkop urges young people to be job creators. We have now put many through school, and they could not get jobs. The solution is now for our people to become their own job creators. Government has to provide a conducive environment for that. So let's talk on what a conducive environment is to make people become to actually encourage more people to become entrepreneurs. Number one, changing our financial laws. Like I think our banking laws are one of the most confusing banking laws ever. And I say these banking laws are created to support one side or one group rather than support other groups. Because whether we like it or not, many of us as black people are previously disadvantaged people. What do I mean by previously disadvantaged people? We know all our historical facts. I know people are going to say, you're going to talk about apartheid. But let's talk about apartheid and what it did to us. We have to be in agreement that because of apartheid, certain groups of society, in this case, the white European descendants, were the ones who benefited from the country's wealth, the ones who benefited from the country's land, the country's mineral wealth, the country's business wealth, and all this. They were the ones who set up businesses. This is why today you find big countries like companies like Metropolitan, Metropolitan, Old Mutual, Barclays, all these old banks. It was due to that system that was created and that made sure that these individuals were the ones who were able to set up business. So, a conducive environment would be looking at some of our laws, particularly when young people who probably do not own any fixed property, to be able to come to a finance and to be able to say, listen, can you fund my business idea? I want to set up, for example, a pig farm. I want to set up an abattoir. I want to set up a mining company. I want to set up a clothing making company. I want to set up a company that's going to produce condoms locally. Can you guys fund me? I do not have the collateral that you guys need. Can you guys fund me? It takes me back to a time where I went to one of the company that lends to say, I have this idea. I want to set up a feed making company because I believe the feed industry, besides just having one major player, which is having a monopoly, they are the reason why the price of livestock feed has gone up skyrocket, because these individuals are only players there, so they can sit there in a dark room, decide when to decrease the price, decide when to pick up the price, decide to decrease to pick up. They can decide all these things, and we sometimes do not have a dog in the fight because we are just buyers of these things. So these are the things that I went there to talk about. And then this lenders asked me, do you have any qualifications to do this, sir? And I looked at it and I was like, man, I don't need to have the qualifications for this. My opinion. I am the entrepreneur. I will hire people to run this thing for me. It's the same thing like the gentleman who created Jack Daniels. He founded and made the first batch of that Jack Daniels, drank it, people tasted it, liked it. And then after a while, he was able to hire the skilled people to literally get it going to the level that it wants. I told her I can hire those people. There are a lot of unemployed young graduates sitting at home who studied animal nutrition who need employment. I can hire them and we can make this thing rock. So those were some of the things. And then they asked me collateral, which I don't have, unfortunately. I come from a black family that comes from a disadvantaged background. We have land in our communal area, but we can't even use that land to apply for a loan because they don't consider it commercial viable land. It's communal. We don't have title deed. Ownership of it is by word of mouth. So it's not like land they can come and take and sell it. And it's in your village. So these are the things that really keeps many of us back. These are some of the conducive environments. Then the second thing of creating a conducive environment is tailor making our education to meet our challenges of today. We can't be in a country where mining plays one of the biggest roles, and not our kids are not being taught about how mining is done in primary. I mean, in let's say high school, at least in high school, our kids aren't being taught mining. Our kids aren't being taught agriculture. Our kids aren't being taught fisheries. Aren't being taught how to manufacture things, how things are made. Our kids don't know these things, but yet we expect these people to come and one day be a minister of trade and industry or to be a leader in mining when he himself does not understand mining. So how do we go about doing what we need to do? It starts off with things such as we need to set up this type of sectors that can be able to help get these individuals going in that direction. So a conducive environment is needed. Our our finances need to be had a word with. They need to come on board and finance people's ideas and not be asking you if you have collateral. Because unfortunately, I'm black, I'm not white. If I was white, my dad would probably have one big house and a couple of apartments, probably in Vinduk or some land somewhere here that I could put up as collateral. I know one farmer who has a farm and then owns land near the dam there in Khobabas. Imagine these guys were smart enough to buy all these things. So it means that when they're kids, want to come set up businesses, when their kids want to come set up businesses, they're able to utilize these things to utilize these assets to be able to set up to be able to get the loans for their land. We don't have this, so I do agree. Let's set up a conducive environment. Let's turn the Namibian economy, rather than each just wanting to be looking for job creators, let's turn it to be people that want to be job creators. But then also the other problem you need to do if you want to start creating a large number of black entrepreneurs, we need to go back and we need to look at how do we fix the black psyche. Many of us grew up witnessing success, our uncles being successful, probably being a CEO of a big company or being a minister or being a teacher or being a nurse, being a doctor, being a police officer. Those are the typical answers that you would hear when you go to um, township schools or schools that are very that are not well funded or that are not well what's the word? They're not well funded. Let me use the term well funded because these kids will tell you, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a teacher, I want to be this, I want to be that, and the other. They will not say things like, I want to set up my own medical company or I want to set up my own hospital. They're not, we, unfortunately, as black people, we don't dream that far. And then if you're black parents who grew up in that time where a black man or a black woman could only be a few things, they will install that into you. The third thing is also looking at how we go about um, doing how do we do fair business in this country? Like some of the tenders. There are tenders that I believe should be put aside for Namibians. Tenders that are supposed to be put aside for young Namibians to be able to apply for them. But when you're hearing things like a 5-year-old is about to get a tender that is worth 1.3 million, is it million? 1.3 billion. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? A 5-year-old kid whose father is a Zimbabwean born gentleman who was implicated in another scandal which says that he's applied the Ministry of Health with medication that was either it was unregistered or the medication was damaged or something like that. And this person was about to get another one till I think was it the procurement board or was it the court that had to put an interdict to say no, stop that. These things happen. There are more bloody stories in the tender industry, and unfortunately, within the tender industry, they are your oligarchs, they are your big bosses there, they are your dons that are in the tender processes there. There are people you need to kiss rings. I've heard scary stories that in order for you to get a tender, you need to give the other person 10% kickbacks, like the big scandal that's happening now in South Africa, where the gentleman came out and exposed two ministers, Minister of Finance, Minister of I think it's Education, or is it Labor? I don't know if it's Trade and Industry, and then also the chairperson of the ANC, where he exposed them. Those things do happen, I believe, also here in Namibia. They're not just spoken about. So if we are to create a conducive environment, we need to create a conducive environment where the playing field is level to everybody, where some guys do not come here with their advantages. But in life, unfortunately, there will always be advantages. If you ever played a sport, whether it's rugby or soccer or cricket, there will be guys who are either taller than you, bigger than you, stronger than you. There will be people who have certain advantages. But we need to create rules that try to put us at equilibrium, or you find something that makes you better than the other one. Because hey, it's difficult. It's difficult. Imagine someone who graduated probably in 2017, unable to get employment till date. I at least was working, and I lost my job because we had one of the most craziest times and the craziest pandemic hitting the country.